Good morning, folks. Good morning to you blue lighters. How are you all doing today? Getting back to my Facebook Lives first thing in the morning, and here we are in a very misty, foggy York. If I'm looking a bit dishevelled, it's because there's my trusty steed. We just dropped off the boy at school, and now it's time for a little pit stop on my cycle ride. I always go for a little ride if I can into the city. And there we are. This is what York looks like this morning. But you didn't go Facebook Live to learn all about York. I want to talk to you this morning about improving your chances in the police recruitment process, because my goodness, it's becoming increasingly random. So in a moment I'm going to talk about that. Just wait for a few more people to come and join us. Jamie, good morning to you, who's watching. I know a few more of you have joined us, but Facebook, for some reason, it highlights some people's names that have joined us, and other people it doesn't. I don't know what goes on there. Some people I can bring them on camera. You know, if you want to talk and discuss anything, if it says go on camera, I'd love to go face to face, answer any questions that you may have. Be delighted to do so. Jasmine and Amber are joining us this morning. Jamie's saying good morning, Brendan. Natasha, good morning, good morning. What's that in there? Someone honking a horn over there. Natasha, good morning to you. Niall, good morning. All right. Natasha's saying morning, morning. We'll say it twice because it's such a good morning. Paul and Alistair are joining us as well. So, right, excellent. So we've got a great bunch of people. I can't pronounce that name. Hazoj Notlu. All right. All right. Okay, this is what police officers do when they join. When they join, they keep their Facebook profile, but they spell the name backwards. So that's Josh Wilton. Josh Wilton. Good morning to Josh Wilton and Shanti. How are you all doing this morning? All right, so increasing your chances. So something's cropped up over the past couple of days, which I think is a little bit of a disturbing pattern, trend. You know, I think forces are increasingly feeling the pressure of recruitment. You know, 2 years, was it 2 years ago? A year ago? Just over a year ago, the government announces a 20,000 uplift in the number of police officers. No surprise, that's going to need people to actually run the assessment centres, do the recruitment, do the vetting, do the fitness, do the medicals, all of that kind of stuff. Except now, what's happening is some forces are struggling with that. Other forces are putting the brakes on recruitment because they just don't need to recruit anymore. What about that, hey? Even though there's funding for a 20,000 uplift, they just don't need to recruit. Because the thing is, they need to spend the money on the people who are staying. For a lot of forces, people are staying. I mean, who wouldn't in a pandemic? Who's going to leave the police mid-career to go and find another career when today it was just been announced there's another swathe of people who are unemployed. The unemployment figure in the UK is now bumping 5%. My goodness, you know, who would leave the police? So because of that, a lot of people are staying, which means it's more competitive, which means that people are starting to get emails to say, you have been successful in everything, but we just don't have room for you. We don't have an intake. Cheshire actually sent that snotogram to everyone to say, it was something like, unfortunately, we don't have sufficient spaces on the next intake, something like that, or the intake after, or we're not actually having an intake. And other forces are giving people start dates of autumn 2021. I've even heard of a start date of 2022. Can you believe that? That's like 2 years away. What's going on there? And other forces are starting to find that they just don't have the capacity to handle the amount of applications. And so what they've done is they've done something really weird that I don't agree with, and I've challenged it on Twitter. Some of you might have seen the post I put on the group yesterday, challenging it. Kent are doing it, Dorset are doing it, Devon and Cornwall are doing it. Northumbria haven't put anything out there, but they have indicated in the past that they've done this, and this is recruiting people by random selection. Yeah, you heard that right, random selection. So what they are doing is they've got a big pile of applications, They haven't got the capacity to work through them all, so what do? They just select them at random. They think that's the fair way, and actually they put that in the email, a rather poorly worded email, but they put that in the email to say that we're just going to select people by random. What do you think of that? Let me know what you think. It's a lucky dip. It's a lucky dip. So the concerns I raised were who developed that process? What's the rationale behind it? How is it being managed? How can you be assured that they are not just choosing the people who might appear to be the sort of people like them, so unconscious bias slips in and they just sort of pick English sounding names? Or they go the other way and start thinking we've got a target to recruit black, Asian, minority ethnic individuals, so why don't we just recruit people who fit that category? Cheshire have done that before, got taken all the way to the courts, and they got a spanking for it. They got found that they were actually acting outside of employment law. So I highlighted this yesterday, and I've got to give them the dues. The Chief Executive for the Policing and Crime Commissioner's Office for Dorset came back and said they weren't even aware that that was happening, so they're going to look into it. This is just grossly unfair, and I would advocate that you all ask your force, is there an intake ahead that I can actually join? How are you managing the recruitment process? Can you give me some dates, some buy dates? Because the other big complaint that so many people have is that they applied at the beginning of this year, January, it's now October. They passed the first stage in the summer and they've heard nothing, and they keep hearing nothing, and they keep emailing and they hear nothing, and they got asked to submit their proof of the qualifications, and they did that and they still heard nothing. Or someone who did their online assessment in the summer has now been told actually it's late spring, has been told there's a technical issue and they've got to wait until next year, 2021, before they can resit it. It's not their fault there was a technical issue. So there's all sorts of bonkers stuff going on. So what I'd advocate to get around it is, one, challenge your force and ask. Is this, can you pin down some dates? Can you assure me that I will get an assessment centre? Can you assure me that you're not going to do random selection like some forces have? You can quote the forces: Kent, Devon and Cornwall, Dorset. Those are the ones who have been open about it. There may be others as well, I don't know. And challenge them and ask them. When I say challenge, I mean ask nicely. Just check in with them and just say, what's the process now? Can you give me a buy date? I don't want to be hanging on forever. Listen, in the past, recruitment process have taken up to 2 years. 2 years. Connor's just said actually there, I've been in recruitment for the Met since June 2019. This is insane. There is no other sector that would allow that. It's just bonkers. It's just bonkers. All right, listen, there's loads of you who've just joined. So, and actually someone's just asked, or they might have asked and then gone. All right, so there's I'm going to try something here. So let's just see. Oh no, that's not going to work. So actually, someone asked if they could come on camera, and then they've decided they don't want to. So listen, if you've got any questions about this, or you want to, just ask or discuss, or just say, hang on a minute, I don't understand this, what's going on, then ask to go on camera. You can come on camera and we can have a chat about it. It does like a split screen, so I'm at the top and you're at the bottom. So Andrew said he wants to be in a video. Awesome, Andrew. I'm going to prove it happens. This is normally, I love doing this, it's just great. What a fantastic way of engaging. Engaging, that sounds a bit formal, didn't it? So Andrew's just asked, it says adding. A few people who've just joined as well: Stefan, Stuart, Maddie, Kayla and Connor. It seems to have problems adding Andrew. All right, it just says adding. Anyway, in the meantime, what are we talking about? We're talking about improving your chances. So that's the first thing I'd do. I'd check with the force what the process is going to involve, that they actually do have some intakes available. So Devon and Cornwall have just written to everyone who's in the detective pipeline to say there's no space on the next intake. They were actually, Andrew said he doesn't want to be on the live video invitation after all. Doesn't matter, that's fine, Andrew. That's absolutely fine. But if you want to join me and ask any questions, discuss anything, then please feel free to do so. I can only bring one person on at a time. All right, so what else can we do to get around this? Well, pin them all down in terms of dates and when is this going to happen, and can you assure me? Devon and Cornwall, like I said, the detective pathway, they were inviting people to the assessment centre, online assessment centre, even though they knew that the intake was full. So it's just not right, that, is it? It's just not right. So we've got to just challenge back nicely and just check in with the force. what is actually happening. Do they have the spaces? Do they have the capacity? All right, what else can we say? The other thing I'd ask you to do is create as many options as you possibly can. So if you can, apply to other forces. Apply to other forces. And there's no problem with this. College of Policing rules have changed, even though some forces will say, no, you can't. Yes, you absolutely can. You can apply to as many forces as you want. The only thing you can't do is the assessment process within, it says 6 months of each other. It talks about search, but it's not. It's actually the online assessment centre, and the gap there is 3 months. Sorry, someone just getting a bit too close to me there. Doesn't understand 2 meters distance. Thinks it's 2 feet. All right, forgive me. So what was I talking about there? Yes, so if you can, apply to other forces. Everything's all a bit messed up at the moment in terms of people understanding the rules and regulations, but college policing changed it about a year ago and said you could apply to as many forces as you wanted to. So do that. Spread your options. Apply to as many forces as you want, because you can. So I just thought I'd do a change of scenery for you. Apply to as many forces as you want, if you can. I know for some of you, because of geographical reasons or family reasons, you can't. But if you can, apply to other forces. Especially, what I know some people have done, and there's nothing wrong with doing this, is they've applied to a force that's actually recruiting at this moment in time, knowing that there's absolutely no chance that they're going to join that force, but they're just doing it as a vehicle to get a pass in the online assessment centre. And by the way, I can help, I can help you guarantee that pass. Over 700 people now have done the interactive webinars with me, and 8 now have reported back that they've failed. I'm quite pleased with that. Actually, I'm very pleased with that. That's an awesome result. Over 700 people, 8 reported fails. What do you think of that? So next week we've got course 27 and 28 starting. So it'd be awesome if you could join me on those courses. And I guarantee a pass. I guarantee it. If you don't pass, I give you your money back. That's not bad, is it really? I'll show you the way, you do the hard work, you pass, boom. I show you the way you don't do the hard work and you fail. Well, there is a term and condition around it. You've actually got to do the work. You don't do the work, you don't get a refund. You have to show me you've done the work. But if you've done the work and done everything I've asked you to do, and it's not a huge, well, it's quite a lot actually. I really work you hard, and you don't pass, give you a full refund. What about that, eh? What about that? There's no messing about there. I've done it before, and I've given the refunds. And for some people, have come back and they've given it another go and they've passed. For others, they've just decided, it's not for me. And if it's not for you, then I don't want to keep your money. It's just not fair, is it? It's not fair. So there you go. All right. So what we're talking about, those people who've just joined us: Heather, Alex, Suzanne, Moss, and Chelsea, and Stefan. You're all very welcome, by the way, to come on camera and join me. If you've got any questions or you want to check out anything with me or just discuss something, more than welcome to do so. What we're discussing is options, making sure that you can be successful, checking with the force that they are not doing random selection, lucky dip, with the application forms, or who's going to go to the assessment centre next. If you send me a copy, PM me any copies of any emails that you get like that, and I can chase it up on Twitter. Fairly influential sphere in Twitter. Twitter, a sphere in Twitter, Twitter. So it was like within an hour, the PCC's office came back to me to say they're going to look into it. So that random selection in Dorset should get sorted out. All right, let's see if there's some questions. Jamie is saying, I still haven't attended the online webinar. I don't plan on attending until I apply. Is there a time to use it by? No, you can just use it whenever you want. A lot of people actually join the online course plus the webinar option, get stuck into the online course part, and then time the webinar to coincide with their assessment process. But bear in mind that you can get anything between 2 days and 7 days notice to start your online assessment process. So make sure you don't get caught out. There's a lot of people actually on the course at the moment, on the webinar course, who don't have a date yet, but they're just making sure they're ready. Apostolia is saying, good morning to you, Apostolia. Heather's saying, waiting on final interview results from Thames Valley Police. They said to expect a delayed start date, though. Absolutely. Do you know what? Start applying to other forces, Heather. Start applying to other forces, because I've seen this happen before. Delayed start dates turn into no start date. Stuart's saying, still waiting to retry online assessment centre with Essex, has failed in August, being told January. Would hate to apply to a new force as Essex special and pass the senior interview, but considering Suffolk and the Met. Do it. You won't be able to apply to the Met anyway, because they're not recruiting. They've not recruited since March now. Suffolk, go for Suffolk. Just do it. Do it. You don't owe, there's no loyalty to any force. Jamie's saying thanks. Good morning, Chris. You're watching. Let's just see if there's any other questions, and then I'll probably just shoot off and continue with my bike ride. And in case any of you are wondering where we are, this is the River Ouse in sunny York. There's the York Rowing Club, and there is the Lendal Bridge. The Lendal Bridge. Some of the tourist boats, they're awesome, by the way, an awesome trip. If you go on the come to visit York, get yourself on one of those boats in the background. There's a little castle tower thing. Don't know what that is. Lendal Tower. Let's just call it the Lendal Tower. And over there is a big office block. It's quite a nice looking one, isn't it? I think it's one of the big insurance firms. Up there, can't see it now, Scarborough Bridge. Anyway, there you go, a little guided tour of York. Connor was saying his best option was to swap over to the PCDA from the Ipple Dipple. There's a cohort for Ipple Dipple, but a lot smaller. Go for the PCDA any day. I mean, it's awesome. You're going to get paid to do a degree. Fantastic. You get qualification out of it. Sarah's saying, still waiting on online assessment results from Cheshire. Normally the wait can be anything from a month to 2 months. Sometimes it could be like 3 weeks. It's just random. All random again, Sarah, I'm afraid. Becca's just joined us. Any questions? If you want to come on live, please do let me know. Otherwise, I'll probably shoot off in a moment, because if you just join me, you won't know that I've been on for about 15 minutes now. Natasha's saying, I think it's unfair. It'd be much better to take the highest scoring candidates rather than random ones. Yeah, that's what some forces do. Durham have done that in the past. They've marked the assessment, the application forms, and they've sifted people out that way, only taking the highest scorers through to the next stage and putting people in like a reserve bank, but not telling them that until they actually dip into that reserve bank and say, by the way, I know we said that you didn't score a high enough mark, but now we'd like to invite you to assessment centre. So that's another good way of doing it. Another good way of doing it is by just taking people in the order they applied. That seems fair, as opposed to randomly. I know of one outstanding candidate from Northumbria. She's now got through everything, and I presume now she's in. I've not heard from her since, but she was an outstanding candidate for Northumbria Police. And she waited for about a year before her application form was marked. And when she kept saying what's going on, and they kept saying, oh, we just pick people at random. That's awful. You put people's careers on the line for a random selection, a lucky dip. It's bonkers. It's insane. All right, I'm going to go in a minute, unless anyone's got any awesome questions. David's just joined us, Carl's just joined us, Joe. Interjet saying, morning, Brendan, I have my competency-based interview coming up. I'm ex-job. Awesome. Welcome back. Almost. It was a DC, left in 2012. Do you think it's okay to use some of my DC experience I gained in my interview, or 8 years, way too long ago? Yeah, if I was doing an interview, I would, if I was interviewing Interjet, I'd be saying, have you got anything more recent? Or I might ask, tell me about your career. Oh, some ducks. Geese, something, making a noise. There you go, saying good morning. Oh, I know why. Someone's, that's it, someone's feeding them. They're getting fed, that's why. Noisy things. Yeah, I would probably ask you as an interviewer, tell me a little bit about your career. Why did you leave? Why do you want to come back? And then I'd want to know what you've been doing then. What you've been doing to develop yourself since. Because that's really important. They want to hear about that kind of thing. So I'd say 8 years, I'd probably, if I asked you a question about, tell me about a time when you've had to make a difficult decision and you refer to something from over 8 years ago, then I would probably say, have you got anything more recent? Zoe's saying, oh, look at that. It's making me miss York watching this. It's awesome, isn't it? Isn't York awesome? Look at that. It's just, what an awesome place. It really is. I'm so blessed to be able to live in York. Just as an aside, the reason why we live in York is because of the school the kids go to. We moved from Cheshire to York so the kids could go to the York Steiner School, which is an awesome school. And this kind of links in with stage 3 a little bit, when people think about the power of community, what community can achieve if they're enabled to do so. And You know, this school is actually run by the community, for the community. It's run by the parents. I was a trustee for the school for a year and a half. We ran in conjunction with the management team. We ran the school. So, you know, anyone who thinks that community can't do things, oh yes, they can. And we discuss a lot on the stage 3 webinars about enabling community, and we use as a basis for this. I'm going off at the side here, but it might be useful for you, stage 3. Ian Hopkins from Grace Master Police did a fantastic talk about enabling citizens as a route to reducing crime, antisocial behaviour, and a lot of other complex social problems that the police have to face. Zoe's saying, sorry, Brendan, I'm listening to what you're saying too. All right, that's nice. But isn't York awesome for that? Who would not? I mean, it's just great. I love to cycle through York. I'm going to cycle back now. Got a one-to-one with someone at 10:30, 10 o'clock, half 10. It's either 10 or half 10. So Beverly, if you're watching this, I've not forgotten. We will hook up for that hour of coaching for your final interview, seem to remember. So we'll get you ready for that. All right, folks, fantastic to have you all on board this morning. Chloe, sorry you just joined at the very end, and Andy. Chloe, you've got an awesome surname, by the way. O'Brien. We're not related. I'll catch up with you all soon. Stay safe, look after each other, and if you're just catching this at the very end, I will press share so you'll be able to watch this in the group after. I'll catch up with you all very soon. Bye bye for now.